So good evening all. So welcome back to our next session on relations and functions. So in our previous sessions on this particular topic, relations and functions, so most of the topics are actually quite related to your 11th topics basically. But there is a new topic which we have learned, that is our classification of our functions part. So now we are going to continue our functions part as of our relations and functions. Right, so first I'll just give you a quick overview of what and all we have covered till now and what we are going to cover as our part of session 3 of relations and functions. So in the initial part, we have seen common functions. So basically, I have already told you this particular common functions we have covered in our 11th standard in detail. So for each of the function, we have seen the equation of it, we have seen the graph of it, and we have found out the domain, codomain, range. So everything we have done in our 11th standard. So I'm just not focusing on this anymore, but you have to just go through this common functions topic again, because while solving your questions related to functions and all, you might come across this common functions again. So you should be thorough with this topic of common functions. So as part of it, we have even covered the classification of functions. Right. So in this classification, basically we have learned 4, that is nothing but our one function, many one, onto and into. And we have even seen the combination of these classification of functions. Right. So we have seen all this classification, we have learned all of them, and we have even solved few of questions based on this particular classification of the functions. Right. So now we are going to start a new topic, that is nothing but composite functions. Right. So before getting into this particular topic of composite functions, so I guess you might have seen typical representation like for example f of g. It's nothing but FOG. Or else you might have seen something like this typical representation. Right, so because as you have already passed your 11th standard, you might have seen some of these representations in your 11th mathematics. Right, so if I keep it in a point, even I have given you some questions while we are doing our 11th standard. Right, I have even given you this typical representations, if you remember. Right, so these are nothing but our composite functions. So that we are going to cover now. So first we'll be beginning our session with this particular topic of composite functions. And then next we are going to discuss about even and odd functions. So I guess this even and odd functions is also quite familiar with you guys. You know the basic definition of it, I guess. So we'll just again go through the basic definition of what is a even function and what is an odd function, and we even see few of the examples of even and odd functions along with the properties, right? So similarly, even for the composite functions, we are going to see the properties. So for both composite functions as well as even and odd functions, we are going to see the properties, right? So we'll be seeing few examples and few questions and all we will be covering for these topics. And as for the last topic of our session, so it will be the inverse of a function, right? So it's like while we are discussing our matrices, how we have done a inverse, right? For every matrix, like for specific every matrix, we are actually having a inverse. So typically for functions also, we'll be having an inverse. So if I keep it in a sharp way, so while studying the functions in our 11th standard, you might have come across the word range, isn't it? So while dealing with the range, so we have dealt with few questions where we have actually found out the range of some functions, right? So if you remember this range, so we actually follow the typical same procedure here to find the inverse of any given function, right? So if you remember, that's fine. If not, we'll be discussing that while we are getting into this topic of inverse of the function. So in a short, today we'll be covering these three topics: composite functions, even and odd functions, as well as the inverse of function, right? So to begin with our session today, as I told you, I'm starting with the composite function. So first of all, we are going to consider two functions here, right? So one is the function f, which is actually mapping from set A to set B, right? So this is our function f, which is mapping from set A to set B, and the second function is defined as g. So this is the second function g, which is mapping from set B to set C, right? So these are our two functions here, f and g. So then the function GOF. So there is a function GOF. We even call it as g of x. So we represent that as GOF, which is nothing but g of f, right? So this is the function which is mapping from set A to C. So this function is actually denoted by g of x. So GOF of x. The representation of this g of x is nothing but equal to the function g and the function f of x, which is nothing but we are substituting the function f of x in the function g of x. So where our x belongs to the set A. So this particular g of x is nothing but called our composite function of these two functions f and g, right? So for example, if I am trying to write some FOG of x, so this is also a composite function of these typical two functions g and f, isn't it? But here the representation is different, because here it will be f of g of x, which means we are actually substituting the function g of x in the function f of x, right? So this is how we actually represent our composite functions, and these are actually called to be our composite function from our standard functions here, f and g, right? So if you represent in typical diagrammatical form, so here you can see, so we'll be having a function f in terms of x, and we are having a function g in terms of f, right? So in terms of x again, so if we are trying to write g of f of x, then our first part will be substituting our f of x in the function g of x, which results to be our g of f of x, which is another, the representation will be g of f x. So this is how we actually represent our composite functions. So we can write any composite functions from our standard given functions. So here as an example, we have taken two functions f and g, and then we have defined our composite function g of f of x, as well as I have given another example here, that is f of g of x. So this is how we'll be writing our composite functions. So now let's see few of the properties of this particular composite functions. So if you observe, the first property is the composite function, the composite of functions is not a commutative. So basically what is our commutative law states? So our commutative law states is nothing but, for example, if you have AB, it will be equal to BA. So this is basically our commutative law, right? But here, as per our composite of functions, it is not commutative. So our composite function is actually not a commutative, which is nothing but, if we are having two functions f and g, then our FOG is not equal to GOF. So in the previous example we have seen our FOG is nothing but f of g of x. That means substituting our g of x in the function f of x, and our GOF is nothing but g of f of x, which is substituting the function f of x in the function g of x. So there is a difference, right? So here f of g means substituting g of x in f of x, and GOF is nothing but substituting f of x in the function g of x. So obviously they are not equal, which means our GOF is not equal to FOG, which states that our composite of functions is not a commutative, right? So this is our first and important property of composite functions, which states that the composite of functions is not a commutative. So moving on to our second property here. So our second property is the composite of functions is associative. So it's not a commutative, but it will be a associative. So to write an associative, we should have typical three functions. So first let us consider three different functions. So here we are going to consider three functions f, g as well as h. So these are our three functions here, right? So according to our associative, it will be, for example, I am writing f of g of h. That means f of g of h of x. So what is the typical meaning of it? So first you are going to substitute the h of x function in the function g of x. So after substituting and simplifying it, you have to take that function and further substitute in our function f of x. So in a simple form, it is nothing but f of g of h, right? Which means g of h is substituted in the function f. So this will be equal to f of g of h. So f of g of h will be equal to f of g of h. So which means our composite of functions is not commutative, but it will be a associative law. So it satisfies the associative law. So these two conditions we have to remember, because sometimes there might be a question related to this associative law or else our commutative law. So there, if you remember, without solving, we can actually answer that, isn't it? So if, for example, if you're not aware of this associative law or a typical commutative law related to our composite functions, if there is a question something like this, whether it's a equal to or else something LHS or RHS, then what you will be doing? So you'll be substituting the function and checking whether it is satisfying or not, right? But if you know whether the function is associative or commutative, then it will be easy, right? In a one step, you might have solved the question, right? So that's why we should aware of this typical properties of our composite function, where the first one states that the composite of functions is not a commutative, but the composite of functions is a associative, right? So let's see our next property of our composite functions. So here is the last property of our composite functions, which states that the composite of two bijections is a bijection. So have you remember the word bijection? Have you recalled anything? What is actually bijection, or else which function is called to be a bijection? Any idea? So if you remember, in our previous session itself, we have actually discussed about this bijection, which is one of our classification of functions. So where we have discussed our one function, many one function, on to and one into. So there we actually covered this bijection also, right? So first we'll just as the word came here, we'll just have a discussion on this bijection. So what is actually a bijection? So bijection is nothing but a function which is 1 1 and onto. So a function which satisfies both of the conditions of 1 1 function and onto function, then that particular function is called as a bijection, right? So for suppose if we are considering two functions f and g. So let us take two functions f and g. So these two functions are bijections, right? So if these two functions are bijections, then we are trying to write our composite function from these two functions. For example, f of g, this is also one of our composite function, or else g of f. So this is also our bijection, isn't it? So whether it is f of g or g of f, but they are both these composite functions actually come from our two bijection functions. So hence the result will be both of these composite functions will also be a bijection, which means both of these functions also satisfy our conditions, that is both will be 1 1 function as well as onto function, right? So simply we can say, in typical questions we have to check whether it's bijection or not. If we know the given standard functions itself are bijection or not, then we can easily say the composite of those two bijections are bijection or not, isn't it? So these are our basic and important properties of our composite functions, which states that our composite functions are not commutative but associative. And the next is the composite of any two bijections will result to be again a bijection, right? So these are our properties. So now let's see a question here. So here there is a question which states that let function f mapping from R to R, which means real numbers. R denotes real numbers, and a function g which is mapping from R to R, again real numbers, be defined by f of x. F of x function is defined by x square plus 3x plus 1 and g of x, and the next function g of x is defined by 2x minus 3. So now here we have to find our function, that is FOG and GOF. That is nothing but f of g and g of x. So just try to find out the function f of g and g of f. So you know what is actually this g of f and f of x denotes? So simply substitution. As I told you, while we are representing our f of g is nothing but substituting our g of x function in place of the f of x, right? In the function f of x. Hello. Niranjana, hello. Hello.
Model number.
I guess there is a problem while accepting the invitation. I don't know. I'm accepting you guys, but I couldn't even able to hear anything from you. So if you have any doubts, just try again so that I can just accept your request. Niranjana and Shyam, you just have tried it. I accepted your request, but I don't know what happened. What's the problem? I couldn't hear from you guys anything. Have anyone tried to solve that question? Okay, fine. Then no issue, fine. What about the question? Has anyone solved the question? If not, I'll just try to explain this one so that we can. Okay. Shivaranjani has given the answer. Okay, 4x square minus 6x plus 1. Tara has also solved. Okay, so we'll just I'll just quickly write the I'll just quickly solve it once for you. Okay, so first composite function which we have to find here is f of g. So which is nothing but f of, which means our f of, what is our g of function given here? 2x minus 3. So here for the function f of x, our x will become 2x minus 3, which means we have to substitute 2x minus 3 in place of x in our function f of x. So it will be 3 into 2x minus 3 plus 1. So we have to simplify this, a minus b whole square. So it will be a square plus b square minus 2ab plus 6x minus 9 plus 1. So simplify it further. So it will be 4x square minus 6x plus 1. So our f of g will be equal to 4x square minus 6x plus 1. Okay, correct. Tara has also given the answer. Srivatsan, okay, for g of, okay, fine. Okay, fine. Niranjana due to internet problem. Okay, fine. Yeah. So here our f of g is nothing but 4x square minus 6x plus 1. So typically we can use the same method and we can find our g of f. So let's see the next question here. So it's like typical same composite function question. So here you have to find again g of f and f of g. So here the functions which they have given here are different. So our f of x function is mapping from R to R and typically g is mapping from R to R, which are given by f of x here is equal to cos x and the function g of x is equal to 3x square. So now here you have to show that our g of f is not equal to f of g. So basically we have a property where we can actually directly say it because we know that our composite function is not a commutative, right? So directly we can say, but here as they asked we have to show and they have given even with respect to our functions f and g. So let's just find out our g of x as well as f of x and then simply show that whether your LHS is equal to RHS or not. So how we have solved our previous question, we have to follow the same methodology here and find our f of g as well as g of f. Okay, done. Shivaranjani has solved it. Okay. So let's just wait for a few more minutes so that all of you can solve the question. Okay. Tara, Shyam, Shivani and Srivatsan has solved it. Okay, good. Okay, Lakshmi also solved it. Okay, fine. So you also know, you already know that our g of x here will not be equal to f of g. So that you have to prove using the given functions f of x as well as g of x. So here we are having the next question which is actually related to our second property which we have discussed, that is our associative, right? So here what they have given, consider a function f which is mapping from n to n, that is natural numbers, and a function mapping from g, that is again n to n natural numbers, and h mapping from n to r, so natural number to real numbers. So defined as f of x function, the function f of x is given as 2x, and the function g of y here is given as 3y plus 4, and the third function, that is h of z, which is equal to sine z. So here you have to prove that the composite function is a associative. That means you have to show h of g of f should be equal to h of g of f. So typical way, you have to find first h of g of f and then find h of g of f and then check whether your LHS is equal to RHS or not. So simply first find our g of f and then substitute in our function h, and then we end up getting our result, that is h of g of f. So similarly for the right hand side, you have to first find h of g, right? So simply have to prove that the composite function is associative. So that is the indirect question here. Even they have given the statement which is indirectly they have given, which is nothing but we have to show that our composite function is associative. Okay, Srivatsan done. Shivaranjani also done. Okay. Shivani Rajesh also solved it. Okay. Okay, Tara and Lakshmi has also solved the main question. So I'll just try to write the solution here. So here our LHS is nothing but h of g of f. Right, so first we have to find our g of, that states that h of f of x. So this is our typical definition here. So h of g of f of x. So what is our function f of x? That is 2x. So here h of g of 2x, that means in place of y we have to substitute 2x. So it will be 3 into 2x plus 4. It will be h here. So that means h of 6x plus 4. So in place of z you have to substitute 6x plus 4, which means sine 6x plus 4. So this is your LHS, that is h of g of f. So similarly, if you try to find h of g of f, that means h of g of f of x. So typically the same thing here, right? So as I have expanded, what you are having, h of g of f of x, and even our RHS h of g of f of x, which means both our LHS and RHS will be equal, and which is nothing but they are satisfying our property associative. Solve this one. Yeah, okay, I'll just solve the entire thing. So first here it will be h of g of f, that is our LHS. So first we have to find, as we have to prove it is associative, so first we have to find our g of f. So g of f is nothing but g of f of x. So initially I have combined the whole thing and solved it, but as we have to prove as it is associative, so I am just splitting as they have given here, so that it will be easy for us to prove. So g of f of x, so it will be g, and our f of x is nothing but 2x. So here in place of y we have to substitute 2x. So it will be 3 2x plus 4, which is equal to 6x plus 4. So here if you observe, we end up having our g of f is equal to 6x plus 4. So our LHS is h of g of f. So h of will be, we can remove off and we can use the brackets, both will be same. So h of g of f. So we end up getting our g of f is 6x plus 4. So that means h of g of f is nothing but h of 6x plus 4, and our h of z is a function. So here in place of z we are having 6x plus 4. So it will be sine z. So in place of z we are having 6x plus 4. So this is our LHS, that is h of g of f. So typically let's just find out our RHS term, h of g of f. So first we have to find our h of g. That means h of g of x. So what is our g of x? So here it will be g of y. So we can substitute 3y plus 4 in terms of our z. So it will be sine 3y plus 4. So this h of g of x, so this will be of x, of f, right? So this will be substituted in this, f will be substituted in this. So it will be into 2x, so which is nothing but sine of 2. So as in place of y we are having x, so here it should be x. So it will be 3x plus 4, and we are having our 2x in place of it. So 3 into 2x plus 4, which is equal to sine of 3x plus 4. So if you observe, our both LHS and RHS are same. So while we are writing our composite functions, the only trick we have to find is simply substituting. So we have to follow the order and simply keep on substituting which and functions to be substituted in one and other. Right. So yeah. So this is our another example of composite function as well as our associative property of composite function. So moving on to our next topic of our relations and functions, that is our even function. So what is actually an even function? So if you guys remember, I have already given a brief introduction of what is an even function and what is an odd function while we are dealing in our the chapter functions in our 11th standard. So I'll just give you a quick recap of it. So a function f of x is to be called as an even function when f of minus x is equal to f of x. So if we are defining a function f of x on a symmetric interval minus a comma a, so then if it satisfies the condition, that is f of minus x is equal to f of x, then the function f of x is called to be a even function. So here we can find few examples. So the first example is, so let us take our function f of x is equal to cos x. So now our aim is to check whether this function is even function or not. So let's just substitute in place of x, we have to substitute minus x. So it will become cos of minus x. So we know according to our trigonometric identities, cos of minus x is nothing but equal to cos x. So cos x is nothing but our function f of x, which is equal to f of x. So even by substituting in place of x by minus x, we end up having our f of minus x to be equal to f of x, which means the function cos x is nothing but an even function. So let's check with another example here. So there is one more example, g of x. So the function g of x is defined by x square plus 3. So this is the function g of x. So now to check whether it is an even function or not, same follow the steps. So we have to substitute minus x in place of x. So it will be minus x. So you have to remember here we are substituting in place of x. So minus x whole square plus 3. So minus x whole square will be again x square. So it will be x square plus 3, which is nothing but our standard function g of x. Sorry, here it should be g. So if you observe, even by substituting minus x, we end up having g of x. So g of minus x is equal to g of x. So these two are examples of our even functions. So simply we can say any function which satisfies the condition f of minus x is equal to f of x is nothing but called as an even function. So for how we are having even function, typically we will be having the opposite of it, that is nothing but called as our odd function, right? So the condition which we have seen for the even function is it will be quite opposite to our odd function, right? So the procedure or the starting method will be the same as our even function. So the condition for an odd function is nothing but if any function satisfying the condition, that is f of minus x is equal to minus of f of x. So if you observe, for even function there is no minus here, but for odd function it is f of minus x is equal to minus of f of x. So then that particular function is nothing but called as an odd function. So let's check and understand this odd function with some examples. So here we are having a function f of x which is equal to sin x. So check whether this function is even or odd. So our procedure will be same, replacing x with minus x, so it will be sin of minus x. So according to our trigonometric identities, we know that sin of minus x is nothing but minus sin x. So it will be minus, and sin x is nothing but our function f of x. So hence we obtained the condition, that is f of minus x is equal to minus f of x. So hence the function f of x equal to sin x is nothing but an odd function, right? So similarly, let's check with another example, g of x. So the function g of x is given to be x cube plus x. So this is our function. So to verify whether it's an even or odd function, we have to follow the same steps. So g of minus x is equal to minus x whole cube plus of minus x. So we know minus x whole cube is nothing but minus x cube and plus of minus, so it will be minus x. So here we can take minus common from these both terms, so it will be x cube plus x. So hence if you check, it will be minus of our function g of x. So hence we end up having our function g of x also to be an odd function, right? So whether it is an even function or odd function, our steps to be followed to check whether it is even or odd is actually the same. So simply replacing our x with minus x, and we'll be checking whether it will be equal to f of x or else minus of x. So sometimes you might have a case where it will not be equal to a minus x or else it will not be equal to f of x or else minus of f of x, which means there you will be having a neither even nor odd condition, right? So we can say that a function can be an even function, odd function, or neither even nor odd function. So these are our three typical conditions with respect to our even and odd functions. So let's see few properties of our even and odd functions here. So the first property, you can see a function may neither be odd nor even. As I told you, so there might be a cases where a function cannot be an even as well as odd. So that particular function is neither even nor odd, right? So this is our first property. Similarly, we are having our second property, that is even every function is symmetric about the y-axis. So every even function, so our every even function will be symmetric always about y-axis, and every odd function will be symmetric about origin. So these are the two conditions we have to remember. So for any functions, if they have given, we have to check with respect to the graph of it, then you'll be clear with that. So if it's an even function, it will be always symmetric to our y-axis. If it's an odd function, it will be always symmetric about the origin. So these are the two typical properties we can see for our even and odd functions. So we are having a tabular form here that is nothing but which is quite related to our algebraic properties of even and odd functions. So here, so here you can see that in this particular table we have taken two functions f of x and g of x. So in the first case we are considering both f of x and g of x are odd. So two odd functions. So what happens when we add two odd functions? The resultant will also be an odd function. What happens when we subtract two odd functions? The resultant will be an odd function. Right. So typically what happens if we multiply that, it will be divide that and the composite function of it. Right. So for let's just take an example for the first one and just go through it. So here I am taking my f of x to be and g of x to be x cube plus x. The same examples which we were discussing in our previous slide. So here if we add these two, that will be f of x plus g of x, which will be equal to sin x plus x cube plus x. So let's just check what happens to the resultant. So let this be the function h of x. So here we are having a function h of x which is equal to sin x plus x cube plus x. So now we have to check whether our function h of x is an even function or else it's an odd function. So I'm substituting minus x in place of x. So it will be sin of minus x plus minus x whole cube plus minus x. So if we simplify this, it will be sin of minus x is nothing but minus sin x, and minus x whole cube will be minus x cube, and here minus x. So from here we can pull out minus common and it will be equal to sin x plus x cube plus x, which is nothing but minus h of x. So from this example we can conclude that if we are having two odd functions and we are adding them, the result will be an odd function. Similarly, if we are subtracting those two odd functions, the result will be again an odd function. Right. So typically if we are actually multiplying these two functions, that is we are multiplying two functions, one is odd and the other is also odd, then the result will be an even function. So let's just check with an example here. So we'll just go with the same example for so f of x will be equal to sin x, g of x will be equal to x cube plus x. So let's just multiply these two functions. So f of x into g of x, which will be equal to sin x into x cube plus x. Right. So if we multiply, it will be x cube into sin x plus x into sin x. So now our new function, which is h of x, is equal to x cube into sin x plus x into sin x. So now here we have to check our function h of x whether it is an even function or odd function. So the procedure will be same. So substituting in place of x, we are substituting minus x. So it will be minus x whole cube into sin of minus x plus minus x into sin of minus x. Right. So here it will be minus x whole cube will be minus x cube. Sine of minus x will be minus sine x. So minus x and sine of minus x will be minus sine x. Sorry. So here minus into minus will become plus. So which is equal to x cube into sine x. And here it will be again minus into minus plus. So it will be x into sine x, which is nothing but equal to our function h of x. So if you observe here, we end up having h of minus x is equal to h of x, isn't it? So here we end up having h of minus x is equal to h of x. So here we can conclude that when we are taking two odd functions and multiply them, the resultant function is nothing but an even functions, and the resultant will be an even function, right? Which means when we are adding or subtracting two odd functions, the resultant will be odd. But if we are multiplying and dividing two odd functions, the result will be even, right? Or else if we are doing g of f of x or else f of g of x, which means we are writing composite of it. So the composite of this function will be odd. So when we are writing composite of two odd functions, the composite function is also an odd function. So let's check what happens when we are having two even functions. So two even functions. So if we add or subtract, multiply and divide and write composites. So if we do any of this term with two even functions, the result will be always an even function. So let's check with an example. So let's take function f of x equal to cos x, g of x is equal to x square plus 1. So I'm just adding these two functions, f of x plus g of x, which is equal to cos x plus x square plus 1. So this is my new function h of x. So here I have to verify this new function h of x is whether it's an even function or odd function. So my function h of x, I have to replace x with minus x. So it will be cos of minus x plus minus x whole square plus 1 as it is. So we know cos of minus x, according to our trigonometric identities, it will be equal to cos x. And minus x whole square will be nothing but equal to x square. So it will be plus x square plus 1. So if you observe, even by replacing x with minus x, we end up having the same thing, that is equal to h of x. So if we are taking any two even functions and add them, subtract them, multiply them, divide each other, and even write the composite functions, all the resultant functions will be nothing but even functions always, right? Okay, someone raised the question, how is the product and division of function odd and even odd? Product and division of, so are you asking about the third row? Okay, multiplication and division of odd and even. Okay, so the next here is one function odd and one function even, that is f of x function odd and g of x function even. So we'll just do this with respect to example. That is the easiest way. So let us take our function f of x is equal to, here they have taken odd function, that is sin x, and g of x is an even function, so I'm taking it as cos x, right? So now your question is how the multiplication and division is odd. So let's just multiply these two terms, f of x into g of x, which is equal to sin x into cos x. So this is our new function h of x. So let's verify whether our resultant function h of x is even or odd. So I am replacing minus x. So it will be sin of minus x into cos of minus x. So sin of minus x is minus sin x and cos of minus x is cos x. So which is equal to minus sin x into cos x, which is nothing but minus the function h of x. So here, by multiplication of one odd and even function, the result will be an odd function, right? Okay, I guess you got the thing. So whenever you have a doubt of whether the division or typical thing, whether it is satisfying or not, so let's just take a easy example like how I have taken here. So we know the sin x is nothing but an odd function and cos x is nothing but an even function. So with this very basic examples, we can actually go through and check whether the conditions are satisfying here or not, right? So as we are discussing our third table, so I have explained with an example. So typically for adding or subtracting, it will not be a neither even nor odd condition. So let's do that also, because till now we haven't come across any function of neither even nor odd. So let's just do in this typical third one. So I'm taking the typical same examples. F of x is an odd function, so I'm taking it, sin x. Sin x is an odd function. And my g of x function to be an even function, so I'm taking it to be an cos x. So let's just add them. So our function f of x plus g of x will be equal to sin x plus cos x, right? So we got our new function h of x, that is nothing but h of x here is equal to sin x plus cos x. So let's just verify whether it's an even, odd, or neither even nor odd. So h of minus x, that will be sin of minus x plus cos of minus x. So we know sin of minus x will be minus sin x, cos of minus x will be cos x. So here we end up having our h of minus x to be minus sin x. So this is minus sin x plus cos x, which means we cannot, so this is not our function h of x, because our function h of x is sin x plus cos x. And even we cannot take common minus, because if we pull out minus, then it will be sin x minus cos x. So this is also not our function h of x, which means when we add two functions, that is one even and one odd, the sum and difference will always result a function which is neither even nor odd condition, right? So I guess I have explained you all these four conditions with respect to examples of each of them. So the very basic examples you can take for even and odd functions are, for odd function you can directly take our sin x function, and for even you can take the cos x function and you can check the properties, right? So so today we have discussed our even function, odd function, as well as our composite functions along with their properties, right? So with this, I'll just wind up our today's session on and function. So if you have any doubts in regard this even and odd function, you just let me know. So you can just follow the tabular form here, and you can take some examples and you can verify and you can solve it by your own, and you can check them whether it is satisfying or not.